Charlotte, Charly and the Hidden Crystal. We publish a new bedtime read-along story every night, so make sure to tap the subscribe button so you never miss any. Part 1. The mysterious treasure map. Charlotte was a curious and adventurous girl, always seeking new experiences and challenges. She was sitting in class one day when she noticed a new student in the room. His name was Charly, and he had just moved to town. Charlotte was immediately drawn to his sense of adventure, and she couldn't wait to get to know him better. During recess, Charlotte and Charly were playing a game of tag when they stumbled upon a mysterious piece of paper sticking out of the ground. Charlotte was the first to notice it, and she quickly pulled it out of the dirt. As she unrolled it, she saw that it was a treasure map. Charlotte and Charly were both amazed, and they knew they had to follow it to see where it would lead them. The map was full of intricate drawings and strange markings that Charlotte and Charly couldn't decipher, so they decided to team up and figure it out together. They examined the map closely and noticed a small arrow pointing towards the corner of the schoolyard. They ran over to the spot and started digging, and after a few minutes, they found a small metal box buried in the ground. The box was locked, but Charly was quick to pick the lock with a bobby pin. Inside, they found another piece of paper. This one had a set of instructions on how to decipher the map. Charlotte and Charly were excited to follow the instructions and see where it would take them. After school, Charlotte and Charly met up at the edge of the schoolyard to begin their adventure. They followed the instructions on the paper, which led them to a nearby river. They had to cross the river to continue their journey, but it was too deep to wade through. Thinking on their feet, Charlotte and Charly spotted a nearby tree with a sturdy branch overhanging the river. They climbed up the tree and used the branch to swing across the river. They both let out a whoop of joy as they landed safely on the other side. As they continued following the map, they encountered more challenges, like a steep mountain and a dense forest. But with Charlotte's determination and Charly's quick thinking, they overcame every obstacle and found themselves closer and closer to the treasure. As the sun began to set, they finally reached the last clue on the map. It led them to a small cave hidden behind a waterfall. Charlotte and Charly cautiously made their way inside the cave and, using their flashlight, they found a small wooden box. Charlotte couldn't contain her excitement as Charly opened the box. Inside, they found a note that read, "Congratulations, you have found the first clue. Follow the next set of instructions to find the real treasure." Charlotte and Charly looked at each other with a grin, thrilled at the thought of what their next adventure would bring. They knew they had a long journey ahead of them, but they were ready for anything. Together, they would uncover the secrets of the mysterious treasure map and find the treasure that lay hidden within. Part 2. The journey begins. Excited by the prospect of finding the real treasure, Charlotte and Charly sat down to examine the note they had found in the wooden box. The instructions were cryptic, and they had to read it several times before they understood what it meant. Follow the path of the rising sun until you reach the edge of the world. There, you will find the key to unlocking the treasure. The instructions were vague, but Charlotte and Charly were determined to follow them to the letter. They knew that the journey ahead of them was going to be long and arduous, but they were prepared for whatever came their way. They set off early the next morning, walking towards the east with the rising sun at their backs. The path was winding and rocky, and they had to climb steep hills and navigate through dense forests. The journey was challenging, but they were determined to keep going. As they walked, they talked and shared stories about their lives. Charlotte told Charly about her family and how they loved to go on camping trips in the mountains. Charly shared his love for adventure and how he had traveled to different countries with his family. As they walked, they discovered beautiful vistas and hidden waterfalls that took their breath away. They also encountered dangerous animals, like snakes and wild boars. But with Charlotte's bravery and Charly's quick thinking, they were able to avoid any harm. After several days of walking, they finally reached the edge of the world. They were standing on a cliff overlooking the vast expanse of the ocean. Charlotte and Charly were awestruck by the beauty of the scene before them. As they stood there, they noticed a small boat anchored in a cove below. They climbed down the rocky cliff face and made their way to the boat. There, they found a small key hidden in a crevice in the rock. Excited by their discovery, Charlotte and Charly knew they were one step closer to unlocking the treasure. They rowed the boat out to sea, following the instructions on the note. As they sailed further into the ocean, they saw an island in the distance. The island was surrounded by a thick mist, and they could barely see it. They knew this was the final destination and were eager to find the treasure. As they approached the island, they noticed a small opening in the mist. Charlotte and Charly rowed towards it, and as they entered the opening, the mist cleared. They saw an enormous cave ahead of them, and they knew that the treasure was waiting for them inside. Excited and eager to uncover the treasure, Charlotte and Charly entered the cave. They found themselves in a vast chamber, filled with treasure beyond their wildest dreams. There were gold coins, precious jewels, and glittering diamonds everywhere. Charlotte and Charly were thrilled beyond belief. They had followed the mysterious treasure map and found the treasure at last. They knew that this adventure would be one they would never forget. Part 3. The search for the hidden treasure. As Charlotte and Charly explored the vast treasure chamber, they noticed that something was missing. They searched through the piles of gold and jewels but couldn't find what they were looking for. Then, they remembered the note they had found in the wooden box. It had mentioned a key to unlock the treasure. They searched for a lock, but none could be found. After searching for a while, they discovered a hidden passage behind a pile of treasure. They entered the passage, which led them to a smaller chamber with a locked chest in the center. Excited and eager to see what was inside the chest, Charlotte and Charly used the key they had found earlier to unlock it. Inside, they found an old parchment with a strange inscription. They couldn't decipher the writing, but they knew it was important. Charlotte and Charly realized that the inscription must be a clue to find something else. They decided to search the chamber again, looking for any other hidden passages or clues. After searching for a while, they noticed a small crack in the wall. They pushed the stone aside, revealing a narrow passageway. They followed it until they found themselves in a small room with a pedestal in the center. On the pedestal was a small crystal sphere. Charlotte and Charly knew that this was what they had been searching for. They picked it up carefully, and as they did, the room began to shake. Suddenly, the floor beneath them gave way, and they fell through a trapdoor. They tumbled down a long, dark tunnel until they landed in a chamber filled with water. They swam to the surface and found themselves in an underground lake. In the distance, they could see a light shining through the water. They swam towards it, and as they got closer, they realized it was an underwater cave. They explored the cave and, using the light from the crystal, were able to find another passageway that led them under rocks and back to the surface of the open sea. As they emerged from the water, they were greeted by the warm sun and the sound of the ocean. They knew that they had found something truly special, something that would change their lives forever. They looked at each other, smiled, and knew that they would always cherish this adventure together. Part 4. The return home. Charlotte and Charly made their way back to the surface, feeling triumphant and exhilarated. They knew that they had found something truly extraordinary, and they couldn't wait to share their story with their friends and family. As they journeyed back home, they talked about all of the exciting moments of their adventure, from discovering the mysterious map to unlocking the treasure chamber and finally finding the glowing crystal. When they arrived home, they immediately went to Charlotte's house to show her parents the crystal. Her parents were amazed and asked where they had found it. Charlotte and Charly told them the whole story of their adventure, and her parents listened in awe. The next day, Charlotte and Charly went to school and shared their story with their classmates. They showed them the map and the crystal, and everyone was impressed. They had become the talk of the school, and even the teachers were interested in hearing about their adventure. Over the next few weeks, Charlotte and Charly became celebrities of sorts in their small town. Everyone wanted to hear their story, and they were invited to speak at local events and gatherings. But despite all the attention and accolades they received, Charlotte and Charly knew that the real treasure was the experience they had shared together. They had formed a bond that would last a lifetime, and they knew that they would always look back on their adventure with fondness and joy. As the weeks passed, Charlotte and Charly went back to their normal lives, but they knew that they would always have a special place in their hearts for the adventure they had shared. They had learned that sometimes, the greatest treasures are not material possessions, but the memories and experiences we share with the people we love. The end. Do you want to hear more stories? Then hit the subscribe button to follow our channel, so you never miss another daily story. And keep listening now, as more stories will play shortly.